Got it. Cool. Was this
Yep.
episode 4? Oh my God.
It is episode
Episode
4,
4.
yeah. And we've missed a week as well.
And Phantom Week, innit?
Phantom Week. Yeah, we
We'll
missed
call it
the week.
Phantom Week.
We should have waited a week to miss a week because we got.
Because now we're in the week that we should have had off.
Yeah.
Because we said.
Well, no, we should have done this one. Then next week is the one off.
This is true.
Anyway, we'll think of something else to talk about next week. Maybe there'll be some charges dropped.
We
haven't started yet.
We have, because I was just going to use I was just going to go in like this. But welcome to Do You Know the Score? I'm Jordan.
And I'm Gavin.
That's right. We are starting up about chatting about football, because football's great. And we have 2 weeks worth of football to kind of cram into 1 week's worth of an episode of football. Let's talk about that. Liverpool. Start with them.
Well, let's start with them indeed. Last week, what a game. Started off and I was on the phone to my friend up in Canada, Will, who's a big Newcastle fan, saying how I thought this was going to be a really tough game. We both felt this was going to be high scoring. And with the memes were going back and forth I was telling him about how the picture I got in my head is of Keegan slumped over as we scored the 4th goal in that famous 4-3. We were laughing and joking, thinking that something like that was bound to happen again. But they came out strong. I thought they looked good. I thought we had weaknesses, but it was an okay game. They scored, and I went, "Oh no, here we go." I sent him a text straight away saying, "Yep, this is the start. I can't see this going well now. I just got a feeling this is going to go badly." It got capitulated not so long after that with Van Dijk getting sent off. We'll have a chat about this sending off in a second.
Yep.
Let's just go through the actual game first. So he got sent off. I sent him a text after that saying, it's now over. That's it. We're down to 11 men. We're down to 10 men, sorry. Against a strong Newcastle side that have been playing well. They were doing okay. It's just going to get worse. That's it. We made some subs, and Darwin Núñez came on and decided, you know what? I'm going to show everyone that I can hit the actual target and not the post or blast it wide. And he scored his equalizer. Yeah. I thought we were extremely fortunate with that, with the first goal. It came off the Newcastle defender's backside. Which, insane that happened. I'm thankful for the luck. It bounced off his backside and he tried to turn around. Darwin already got the ball, smashed it home. Great finish. I was so pleased at that point. A draw. I actually said to my wife, Rachel, if we can get a draw out of this, but just before the goal, if we can get a draw out of this, that's the best we can possibly hope for. That's the best outcome. And we scored. It was a draw. Thought, great. We've rescued something here. And then that injury time winner. Again, the ball was a genius pass. And Darwin got on the end of it and smashed it home for an incredible winner. Will's reply to me at the end was, well, when a team's got your number, there's nothing you can do about it. I thought we were very fortunate to come away with the 3 points, not because of our performance, but because of the situation we put ourselves in with the goal that we conceded and then getting sent off. A man sent off. Who the man was that was sent off is also critical because it's our captain and our best centre-back.
Yeah.
Another reason why I thought away from home, we've lost our captain, lost our centre-back. This isn't going to go well. The red card for me, this could be more of a general thing. I think that is a crazy thing to get a red card for. I was talking to a few people about this and about cards in general for fouls. If you commit a foul, you get a free kick. They're now adding, or not now, but for a while now, we've been adding a yellow card to that.
Yeah.
To try and stop people from bad tackles. Red card is for serious foul play. Off you go. I'm not sure what he did was serious foul play. It was a bad tackle. He caught the guy, and it was a free kick, been awarded. If you want to add some spice, put a yellow card on it. It just seems a little bit harsh. However, I do understand that due to the letter of the law, it is a sending off. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Accept it. Off you go. What I didn't like was him then having a go at the referee and the linesman. That's offside. You don't do that. You've done your bit. You've got your red card. You go off. If after you've gone off, there's a VAR review and it's overturned because the ref missed something or overreacted, come back out and play. But don't argue with the referees. It's done. Never in the history of sport have you ever been able to argue with an official and then go, you know what, you got a point. I'll go back on myself. It doesn't happen. So don't. Oops. don't do it. Just take your medicine and get off the field. I haven't seen whether he's got any further bans, but there has been an application for him to have his ban extended because of the abuse or the abusive language towards the referee. He not only did he commit a silly foul and put us in a poor situation with the free kick, and then also with him getting sent off, he's now put us in an awkward situation where he's not only missing one game, which we had this week, but he might be missing more. That's a stupid thing for a captain to do. That's not a good leadership for me. He needs to sort that out.
Sure.
However, great that we got the 3 points. That was fantastic. How was your match week 3?
Week 3 was Sheffield United. I watched it in a pub in London because I was in London for the weekend. And weirdly enough, right, pub in London near the Angel Islington tube station and around the corner from the hotel before we went on to go and doing what we were in London for. And full of City fans.
Really?
Weird.
In London?
Proper weird. In London, like full of them, full to the brim. We're starting to get. We're finally getting our due and getting our plastic support. No, but it was weird. Like I was in a pub in London. It was kind of full. I was just expecting it to be people not really bothered about a Manchester City versus Sheffield United game. But there was City kits everywhere, and it was just it was proper weird, and a couple of mank noises coming from people's mouths, but it was mostly Londoners and that kind of thing, and that was pretty interesting. Tough game. Sheffield United played really well. I thought they were very well organized. They had a number for a lot of it. They really quieted down Haaland. The penalty the handball on the penalty I thought was a little bit harsh on Sheffield, to be honest. I don't like that kind of the unnatural position narrative nonsense with the officiating on handballs, because I thought he was sliding in. What's he supposed to do? And I get it. I get by the like you saying with the Van Dijk sending off, it's the letter of the law. It's the way it should be. But I just think it's soft. But he didn't convert it, so it didn't really matter. And then just a bit of a smash and grab by us by the end. Rodri with a beautiful bit of brilliance to seal it. Again, these question marks that with Gundogan leaving and Mahrez leaving and stuff was who's going to step up, and it's Rodri and it's been Kovacic has just slotted in beautifully. Guardiola has slotted in beautifully again. Phil Foden is playing his role that everyone expects him to play. So tough win, but got the win. Second tough win in a row, because Newcastle the week before, that was, as we talked about, was a very solid game as well. I just think that Man City is starting the season stronger than they've ever done before, because this is not normal for us any time of the year. Like, any time at the beginning of the season is always a bit of a struggle. Everyone talks about them dropping off, or they've sold this player, or this player's come in and it's not quite working, and Pep hasn't figured it out. And Pep's doing this from a hotel bed in Barcelona as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for how smart the purchases have been and how those players have slotted in to the team so far. Move on to the Fulham game. Again, I thought it was tough at first. Once the controversial second goal that we got, because they responded to our first goal beautifully. They were just back on it. I think it was seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just back on it. They performed perfectly for what they needed to do. We got a bit of good luck, I think, with the decision on the second goal. I think that Ake's header was being, I can't remember which player it was in the way. There was a player in the
Akanji.
way. Akanji, that was it. Akanji
Yeah.
was in the way. And he was in the way. And I honestly think that Lena would have probably dove earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But
You scored so many goals after. However, going in at halftime 1-1 versus going in 2-1,
sure,
just before halftime, might have made a difference. I personally can't see it making a difference against a City team that played like you did the second half.
also you got to put into perspective as well that, like, I get that argument that it changed the idea of the game. If that goal had been disallowed, would City have necessarily, because, like, I think the argument is that Fulham would have stood a chance, or stood more of a chance, if that goal had been disallowed. Great. Or alternatively, it could have sent Man City into the dressing room with fire in their belly, annoyed, and we could have beaten them 7-1.
Yeah.
Or Fulham should have, what, in the alternate universe where it went that way, it could have done that way. But it's a stupid speculation, really.
It's an easier speculation or an easier hypothesis to put on it if their game had ended 1-1 or you'd won 2-1. Then you go,
sure.
hang on a minute, that could have been a difference maker. But when you end, like I say, you came back out and you scored, what is it, another 3 goals.
Another 4. We finished 5-1 in the end, so 3 goals. Yeah.
Another 3 goals. So I can't see how them going in at 1-1 would have stopped you from scoring those.
Agree. I just don't. I just thought that in that particular game, Fulham didn't really challenge too much. They had moments where they looked dangerous, of course, but I just think over the 90 minutes, it was kind of like the Newcastle game, where it was a little bit toothless from them and a little bit, they were a little bit worried, I guess, which happens when you play Manchester City. I see teams that normally come out when they go up against other teams, like when Newcastle played Villa, for example, they went hammer and tongs. They didn't do that against us. Fulham, I think, have enough in their locker to make things awkward, like Sheffield United did.
Yeah.
But they came to the Etihad and they didn't really put much of a fight up.
We kind of spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when after the first or second games, where it seemed like the teams you'd expect to be at the bottom, the traditional bottom half or bottom third teams, actually are turning up and playing. Even if they lose, they're playing. And it's teams that you'd expect in the middle, like Fulham, that aren't doing that as much. They're still doing it, but there's no, with the exception of Luton, and who else? Wolves have been all right. Everton, I just can't score. If they could score more, they'd be better. But those are the teams where you'd think, okay, that's. Let me put it another way.
Okay.
Every year you have your banker games where you look at the fixtures and you go, yeah, there's 3 points right there. I don't feel as confident naming any game a banker anymore because of the way that these teams can play and do play. They don't just sit back and go, we're Nottingham Forest, we're just trying to survive. It's like, here you go, here's everything.
Yeah, and it's the landscape of the league is so different to. This is kind of my what sort of leads into my argument with people when they go, "Oh, we're turning it into a farmers league," and it's like, theoretically, in terms of the person that's on top, your chances are it's going to be Manchester City at the minute. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other clubs in that league that are going to create scenarios and issues for Man City and for the other teams trying to get in the top 4. And I, you start like an FA Cup run or a League Cup run for any of the teams in the Prem. You could argue that majority of them, more than 50% of them, have enough about them to win trophies. It's not as, I don't think it's as cut and dry as people say. And like I said, the middle, like, look at Brighton this weekend.
Yeah,
they ripped Newcastle to bits. And no one saw that coming. No one saw that coming at all. But again, Newcastle, we talked about it when we started this podcast. I said the Newcastle are going to be a team that are going to probably, ascend this season. They're kind of not looking like they're going to.
Well, I don't know.
Um,
On the field, they look good. The way they don't look good is the end result, the league table, the on paper bit. You know, you look at the statistics of how many goals they've scored and how many they've conceded. They don't look good, but
no,
they do look good when they play. They Of all the teams in the Premier League, for me, Newcastle is the one where the end points don't match the on-field performance. They're the most unlike, like
sure,
against
okay.
us. For them to come out with 0 points against the way they played against us, I said to Will, my mate, I said we should have worn masks. It was good to have the 3 points, but we stole those points from them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think there are other teams that are struggling, like Chelsea, for example, where that isn't the case, where they
I
don't look
mean,
good on the field.
yeah. I mean,
But
they're a team that are just.
before we get onto Chelsea, one of the teams that you,
Oh, you've got another.
yeah, I
Well,
got
we've got
another
another
game.
Liverpool game to talk about as well.
Yeah, one of your dark horses, from what I remember, Villa, who I thought, going to do pretty well. The way they played against us was good. I think the difference maker for us was Szoboszlai for that one. I thought he was
Yeah.
strong in our Newcastle game, but my did he step up for this one?
Mm-hmm. He
Bossing that
looks like a
midfield.
player. He looks like the
Yeah,
kind of midfielder that Thiago should have been, or what people thought Artur would have been.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And when we bought Endo, not Hendo, Endo, and we've just bought Gravenberg as well. And people are saying, "Well, where's your defensive mid? Where's your defensive mid?" None of them are naturals, and we're kind of playing McAllister a bit deep. And we talked about Trent kind of stepping into that space on the field without playing as a defensive midfielder. And if we can play like we played against a good Villa side that played well on the day, with
Yeah,
quality players, a World Cup winning goalkeeper, and still win 3-0 because of the strength of that midfield, I don't necessarily think we need to question the defensive mid. Now,
yeah,
the problem comes when we can't convert that. Then the questions, they're not going to go on the front three. They're not going to say, why didn't the front three score? It's, why wasn't the midfield doing their job?
yeah.
So it's very early days, of course, but on that 3-0 performance, that was so much fun to watch against a quality Villa side and seeing the new players playing as well as they did. And
Yeah, yeah.
also bringing in, like Konzai, the defender, to play some more minutes, not just as in a friendly, an actual game.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Doak and some other players as well that we're bringing on. They're getting the minutes with a quality side. It's good to see that. Let's see if they flourish, because we started with, Curtis Jones. That was it.
Yeah, Curtis Jones played. Yeah,
Curtis Jones, and we didn't play Gakpo. Brought Gakpo on instead. And although Curtis Jones was quiet, I don't think we might have kept our shape better than when we have Gakpo. Maybe it was that.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
Curtis is more of a natural midfielder, whereas like Gakpo is more of a forward, isn't he? So
mm,
the mindsets and the way that they naturally play is different, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, you started with Joel Matip and Joe Gomez in centre back. I don't think you probably weren't feeling particularly comfortable
No,
going
absolutely
into
not.
that. But from what I saw of the game, because I only got to see the highlights because Sky, for some weird reason, had Crystal Palace Wolves on.
Yeah.
Um, why? There's only Simon Jordan that wants to watch that game. But I thought that from what I saw of the game, I mean, you look like Liverpool again. You're looking like
Yeah.
Liverpool again. I mean, it doesn't seem as what would they call it, heavy metal football. I think someone called it once on one of the pundits, and I
Yeah.
thought it was a really good description of what you guys were. Just power and just force and just chaos and stuff. It seems a lot more considered.
Yeah.
Your style of play. I think everyone's thought process in there is that you can't do what you were doing season after season after season because you end up
Mm-hmm.
breaking footballers, which is, I don't think that's an unfair thing to say about what's happened at Liverpool over the years, is that you've had like 2 or 3 years of top quality athletes just running and fighting at the highest level,
Sure.
like, to be able to do what you were doing. Eventually the battery's going to run out of the tank and you need to refresh that. And maybe they've looked at it and gone, we'll refresh it, but we'll be a bit more considered in the way that we put things forward now,
Yeah.
rather than just everyone has to just constantly close down, which is great to watch. It's beautiful football, but it can kill it can kill players off.
I mean, we still do that from midfield though. The line of engagement has been brought back, is how I'm seeing it. Instead of we lose the ball, like say Salah's on the ball and we get dispossessed up front. What we used to do was just swarm of bees, just get the ball back, and then we'll go from where. And then we've got the ball back in their half already. What we're doing now is we're just taking a couple of steps back, and then our line of engagement is the midfield, where instead of relying on one or two people in a lot of open space, we've now got a condensed 4-5 players, whoever's dropped back from the forwards as well as the midfields. One of the things we talked about was in previous weeks was that Nunes wasn't being played, and the rumor was that he wasn't tracking back like Klopp wanted. Maybe that wasn't that he wasn't closing down the player like Klopp wanted. Maybe he wasn't pulling back into the midfield and dropping the line of engagement when we've lost the ball in that transitional period.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which probably helps with people like Trent, not being that great at tracking back or defending. If he's pulled out of position and we then lose the ball and we're all then attacking the ball, there's so much space behind. By taking that line back, it gives those defenders time to get back into position and form more of a solid base to work forward from.
Sure. And that's a great tactical adjustment that my biggest problem with Klopp, my only criticism of Klopp really has been, I think he's stuck to his guns a little bit too much at times. And I think he's wisely tweaked little bits, little tiny bits, just to make you guys more of a, bring you guys back to where you should be. Because I thought on paper that Liverpool have been and should have been higher and won more of the last year or two than they have by easily. But yeah, it's going well for you guys because looking at the table now, so there's City on top with 4 wins, then there's Spurs, then there's you, then there's West Ham, then there's Arsenal, and then there's Brighton, all on the Brighton are one. They're a point below because they've lost a game, but there's 5 teams in the Prem that are undefeated in the first week. That's Farmers League. It's over. Phone it in. Forget it. It's done.
Well, in the Bundesliga, it's only Leverkusen and Bayern that are undefeated.
Yeah, a real Farmers League.
In League A, you got Monaco, PSG, and Marseille. So we've got more unbeaten teams in ours.
Do La Liga next. Do La Liga.
I'll do La Liga.
Do La Liga. Google that. Prove my point right.
I haven't looked at this one. I don't know.
Disgusting. You should all be ashamed if you think this, by the way.
They've got 4. Real Madrid, Girona, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, I guess when you get into financial turmoil like Barcelona have, it opens up avenues. But my point still stands.
Oh, for sure.
Not a Farmers League. It's probably it's like the good old days when everyone thought the league was brilliant, right? When there was one team dominating all the time.
Yeah,
you didn't complain then. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Speaking of good teams, though, new Tottenham Hotspur. Let's talk about Tottenham Hotspur and how they're a much better team without Harry Kane in it.
Ange Ball. I don't think it's without Harry Kane. I think it's with Ange Postecoglou.
Can't it be both?
It can be both.
Let's call it both.
There's a little bit of everything, I think. Of course. But can you imagine if Ange had Harry Kane as well? But then things would be different. It'd be a different parallel universe. You wouldn't have Son as the captain.
Exactly.
How much does that have an effect on things?
How much does not having to rely on a player? Because I think that's the problem that a lot of Tottenham Hotspur's coaches have fallen into over the years, is that they feel like they have to go through Kane. And you clearly don't. You had a lot around you that you could have used a bit more. And I understand going through Kane. Kane's a phenomenal footballer. There's no denying
Yeah.
about that. But the team works better with his without Kane being in it, but also
Yeah.
with Postecoglou. I don't even know how to say it.
Ange Postecoglou.
The Aussie guy. He But he's been a brilliant manager, and he's got really good ideas. And I know they lost in the League Cup, and who cares? I don't even know who they fielded. They probably fielded kids, but I think that Spurs just look dynamic. They look on fire. They look like a team that's got some purpose and some fire and some intent behind them again.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because they've been kind of like they've been sort of the whipping boys really of banter pages and stuff for ages, because Harry Kane not winning anything with them, they always quote unquote bottle it. A stupid phrase, but it's the only one I could think of at the time because we're talking about football, so I got football head on. But they've been brilliant, like really good.
Oh, they have. They have. It was talking about without Harry Kane. I think it might be more, without believing in it, more of a curse thing. Not that I believe in that, but that theory seems to be stronger than it because of having to use Harry Kane, because they're showing now that they're doing it life without Harry Kane. If you look at Harry Kane, what he's doing at Bayern Munich, he's scoring all the time. He's got 3 goals already. He's doing so well for Bayern. He's playing well as well, not just scoring. So, and he scored all those goals for Spurs. It was the rest of it. Harry Kane wasn't defending. Harry Kane wasn't carry. Who was their goalkeeper last year? Spurs goalkeeper last year.
Oh, Lloris, wasn't it?
Lloris. Hugo Lloris.
He's not the goalkeeper anymore.
Vicario was the goalkeeper.
Okay.
They're doing well. They're looking good. They're playing positive. The Ange ball, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's good. It's good to see. Will they win any cups? I'm not sure. They could have a good League Cup run or FA Cup run.
Mm-hmm.
If they keep this up, there's no reason why they can't be in the challenger for the top 4 or even part of the title race.
This could be a Spurs trophy season. I honestly feel like it. If they can keep the momentum going, they don't have anything, any harsh injuries, nothing like that, any of those kind of derailing things. Honestly, see Spurs having a good shot at silverware this year.
It could be the year.
Great shot. This could be their year.
Mm-hmm.
Just need to not let it slip. That's all.
I know all about supporting a team where there's a slip and then we don't win. Absolutely.
Just mean. I'm sorry.
There you go.
That's cruel. Speaking of slips, the terrible team, Chelsea.
Oh my God! Yeah.
My God, could sign more forwards, boys. What you need.
Yeah, but the thing, how much do they spend on Caicedo? And this isn't coming from a place of a supporter of a team that was going to buy Moises Caicedo. That actually
come
bid
from that
for him.
place.
I know.
Let the hate flow through you.
No. I've watched footage of him misplacing passes.
Yeah.
Not controlling the ball properly. A bit like Trent did for that one goal a couple of weeks ago. But more frequently.
Yeah.
And you think that shouldn't be a Chelsea player.
So out of place there.
And that's exactly right. And again, I'm not saying this like, oh, I'm bitter that we sold him. I'm just looking at it from a professional footballer shouldn't be looking like that on a field. It's almost as if he's managed to wangle his way on to have a go. And they've signed him by mistake. He was the wrong guy or whatever.
It's weird because when he played for Brighton, he looked immense.
Is it the players around you?
I'm starting. You know what? Brighton is 6th. Chelsea are 12th. Yeah. You've got a point there. It seems to be a little bit of an attitude thing almost. I think almost like I don't know. Chelsea just like they just bought Cole Palmer off us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a waste, I think, for both. I think for Man City to get nearly 50 million for a kid who hasn't done much.
No,
really.
Good potential.
Like, great potential. When I've seen him play, when he's played for Man City, he's looked good. He scores almost every appearance when he eventually gets on the ball. Like if he gets on the pitch, he's in there. He was really good against Sevilla in the Super Cup.
Yeah,
He was tearing people inside out. He looked like that winger solution for Man City that we've
sure.
now replaced, that we've now fixed with this Jeremy Doku guy, who I thought looked really good.
Yeah.
In that one appearance. So we'll see how it gets on. But for that one game against Fulham, looked decent. But I don't think he was doing anything that Cole Palmer couldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
Really. But Cole Palmer just goes to Chelsea, big money move, and he's going to fit in with the other 45 forwards that they've got up there.
Mm.
He came on for a bit towards the end of their drubbing. Last season. Who did they play again? Who did
Chelsea.
Chelsea play? Can't remember.
It was
This is how organised I am.
well, this last week they lost to Forest.
Forest, that was it. So he featured in their battering by Nottingham Forest, and looked nothing like the player that I'd seen him be at Man City. Nothing like it at all.
Yeah.
Sterling's the same. I mean, I know he put a ball on the plate for that Jackson kid, and he just ballooned it, and it was over, and he's supposed to be the next big thing. But like Chelsea just looks so, like I genuinely thought the Chelsea fire sale and bringing in Poch would start making things kind of fit together, and I've not seen a single thing in 4 games that makes me think that that's the case. This feels like same old Chelsea. They're a team that on paper should be much. They should be in that group with, Spurs, Liverpool, West Ham, and Arsenal and Brighton. They should be up there.
Yeah.
And they're in mid-table, like with like 1 win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do to fix it. I hope they don't, but I don't know what to do to fix it.
One of the things that I'm a musician, right? So I play in different groups, whether it be an orchestral group or smaller brass groups or whatever. But one of the things that's said is about playing together and playing at the same time. They're 2 different things. If we play together as a group, it's one group playing together. Whereas playing at the same time, it's say 20 people all playing at the same time, and it could sound like a cacophony, or it could sound good, or it might be together, it might not be together. It started at the same time. And I kind of feel like Chelsea are a little bit like that. Instead of playing as a team, they're playing as 11 football players on the field. And it doesn't matter how many good players you put in there, if you then only have 11 individuals rather than one team, it's not going to work as well as other teams, like we've been talking about with these lesser teams, Nottingham Forest being one of them, where they're now playing as a team and not just a bunch of individuals.
Which is weird, because I'd have thought, though, Poch would be, to use your analogy, would be the conductor that would know who to put where and how to make them play in the best way possible. I honestly thought that from him coming into this project, because it seems like Bowley's kind of taken a step back from his football manager position that he put on Lampard and every other Chelsea manager that's been since he's been there. But I don't know, they've really got to figure out what's missing. And for me, it's less firepower and more getting that spine sorted, getting that defense sorted. Just they need to figure out what the special sauce is, because they should be doing better. I don't know.
I've got a possibly contentious, controversial conversation to have right now.
Go on.
Pochettino. He was the flavor of the month, right? He has been for many, many seasons. United have been saying Poch, it's got to be Poch. This team saying Pochettino, that team's saying Pochettino. And I kind of feel a little bit like the hype of Pochettino is more based on the hype of Pochettino than the workload of Pochettino.
Right. Do you think it's because? Do you think it's then? Am I looking? Me and maybe the other people, because this is your contentious thought process on this.
Sure.
Is that that Spurs shouldn't have gotten anywhere near where they got to in that particular season, which is the one that everyone cites as Pochettino showing what he can do. He can get diamonds out of coal. Is it that, or do you just think that it's not? It isn't really what we're seeing. Isn't a really true reflection of him as an overall manager. What we've seen, sorry, isn't a
Yeah,
over.
no,
Isn't,
flash in the pan. If you look at the whole, his whole body of work as a manager, if you look at his portfolio, yeah, there was that period with Spurs where they did stuff a bit to try and be a bit contentious here again. Let me put this one to you: a broken clock is correct twice a day as well, right?
good saying.
If eventually you're going to put all the jigsaw pieces together, right?
Right.
Let's Espanyol. He managed first. That's your first job. He was a player there. Okay, right. But then he moved on to Southampton. Can you remember what he did with Southampton?
No.
No.
I think
Then he moved
good.
on. He might have been good, right? Then he went on to Spurs, right?
Yep.
We had the moment. How long was he at Spurs for though? He started in 2014, and 2019 he was sacked. And in all those seasons, we've got one period where we go, yeah, he did pretty well there.
That was pretty good, yeah. Okay.
That's pretty good. He went PSG and failed. How can you fail at PSG? How do you get sacked from that? It's unlimited money in what could actually really be called a farmers league. Again, I'm trying to be controversial with this.
The farmers league.
I'm purposely trying to push this narrative as controversial because I don't want to just have
farmers
friendly.
League.
I don't have friendly back and forth with you going, yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm trying to push it to see how far we can go with this. PSG, Chelsea. So if you look at his body of work, the portfolio of work there's no hype. You can't possibly say we want that manager because he did well with Spurs for a short period. Not the whole time he was there. Yeah. He didn't come up and rip up trees straight away. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 or 1 season, yeah.
But the hype around him, the name, the glamorous name that is Pochettino made him an item that people wanted. Not just Chelsea, other teams wanted him. He's turned up here and it's not working. With all, again, like PSG, with all that money, with all those players.
All the resource, yeah.
You should, if you've got the players that he had at PSG, of course, win Ligue 1. But you've got to look at getting to the very last stages of the Champions League, if not pushing them over and winning it. And he didn't.
I don't like to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you. Yeah. Okay, cool. It's decided on this podcast.
I tried to push it so you didn't agree with me, so that there would be some type of back and forth.
I'm sorry, you did such a convincing job. I can't. Oh, you used facts and you used it was brilliant. It was so okay. How would 5 Live do this? Because you used facts, reasons, and logic. I can't. Speaking of facts, reasons, and logic, Manchester United. That's a terrible segue, but it's
it's opposite day.
But it's opposite day. So, that's two controversial weeks in a row.
Yeah, one for them, one against them.
Yeah, I mean, is this team going to be? Are Manchester United just going to be the team that all the controversy is going to happen to or against this year? Because it seems like every single game with Man United, there's something, working with or against them in some way. I don't know what's going on, but like they, again, I can't understand it with them. They look like they should be doing better than this.
Yeah.
They do. I'm, as a City fan, I'm glad it's not working out. But as just looking at it from the outside in, just purely from a football point of view, I mean, they seem to have gotten the ducks in a row generally across the board. They've got some good signings. They've got, they've replaced De Gea with a good goalkeeper. I know that Man United fans can bemoan the end of the Arsenal game as being like, we had Phil Jones and Harry Maguire. I mean, you couldn't have gone worse to see out a game, really. But
I'll bring that up in a second.
But at the same time, Ten Hag ball and how things are with that club at the minute. I don't know. It just, that black cloud is just of all the toxic stuff. Let's not go into specifics, right?
Yeah.
But all of that is just, I don't know, it just strikes me as a much bigger problem. And every single time you look at them and you think they're going to start, this is when when the motor's going to start running, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It just put done.
Yeah. It's almost like I was saying about Chelsea with playing as a team, plays individuals. You see that emphasized by when an attack breaks down and the head and the shoulders of their forwards and the wingers goes down rather than them running back. There's arms gets thrown up in the air. Why did you do that? Rather than questioning, why did we do that? There's more about I and
Yeah.
you rather than we with that team. You look at the young lad Sancho, how he got in trouble at the England team, where Southgate said he was habitually late, he didn't apply himself in training, and he was difficult to work with. And then Sancho went off on one. He's not been chosen since. He's at United, and Ten Hag gave him, what was it, 3 months off for personal issues. And now there's again rumors of him not turning up on time, not applying himself. Ten Hag tried his best to be diplomatic about it when asked in the press, and said that because of the training levels, we've chosen these players and not those players. It was really generic. It wasn't anything throwing anyone under the bus. It wasn't we've lost this because of that player not pulling his weight. Yet Sancho felt it was appropriate to put out a social media post where he was saying he was a scapegoat. Now, that's either a misunderstanding of the English language or there's other issues at play, because no one accused him of anything for him to be a scapegoat. It was just that he wasn't training to the standard needed. So you got to look at yourself and say, all right, what do I need to do to show them that I am at that level? Not be individualistic and say, I should be getting played and not these other people. I feel hard done by. It's an attitude problem that seems to be very widespread in that one particular club as well as others. But there's this huge spotlight on this one particularly, because when Ronaldo was there and all the rest of the fans of other teams were sniggering that, oh, Ronaldo's back, this isn't going to go badly, and things went wrong, Ronaldo said, it's not me. I'm trying my best. These players aren't following me. It's these younger players that aren't applying themselves and aren't doing this and aren't doing that. And we didn't listen to him. We kind of went, oh, it's Ronaldo. He's egotistical. He's decided to go Piers Morgan. It's all about Ronaldo. He's trying to orchestrate a move. And we all thought it was about him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was in a way to orchestrate his move out. But what he was setting fire to on the way out seems to be true. It wasn't necessarily Ronaldo that was causing these issues. If you look at all those issues with people like Sancho and the other issues that we're not going to get into at the moment in that squad, and then you look at people like Bruno Fernandes and the other forwards that do what they do when play breaks down, and then you look at Ronaldo, yeah, I can see how you put all those elements together. That makes for one toxic room to be in. That must have been horrendous.
I mean, your credibility does go down the pan a little bit when you appear on Piers Morgan, but
precisely.
But you raise a lot of valid points. I think. I got to say that it just seems like there's the problem. I think for Manchester United, and this is a generalization, I believe, but what you've got to understand, what I think people don't understand, or don't realize that they're doing, is they like to everyone likes to talk about the standard of Manchester United. They look at Manchester United through the posthumous lens of what they achieved when they were achieving it, how dominant they were, how big they were, all those things are completely accurate, right? But when you come into that club, because of the demands of global fan bases, because of the demands of stockholders, because of the demands of owners, I think there's so many players that just end up falling. And because the demands are so high, they aren't capable of achieving what is expected of them. It's impossible. It's an impossible thing to reachieve. When people like Roy Keane and Gary Neville and ex-Man United players, Scholes, etc., when they're on telly talking about this is what we did back in the day, the expectation on that club was nothing like it is. post Ferguson to today, everyone goes, that time when the only pressure you were genuinely under was from your boss, and now you've got the media, and you've got, because there's a lot of pundits and there's a lot of people in the media that are Man United fans, right? There's a massive fan base, global fan base, one of the biggest fan bases in world football. There's, like I said, there's stockholders. So there's people on the New York Stock Exchange, for example, that own shares in Manchester United that need them to achieve a certain level because they can make the money.
Yeah.
You've got owners who, are being offered 6-7 billion for their club and not selling because they want 10. You've got managers who are, in my opinion, doomed to fail almost from the get-go. Like, I feel I actually like Ten Hag as a manager. I think the football that he wants to bring into Manchester United, I think is really good football, which is something that we associate with Manchester United, which we haven't really had before Ten Hag. Since Ferguson and Ten Hag, there hasn't really been a really good Manchester United team. Really, they've been a bit all over the place, smash and grab, or 4-4-2, or an attempt at trying to do play out the back and gegenpress, but it's not working because they haven't got the personnel or the all those things, right? And when you put it all together, the problem's is for me is that you've got these players like Sancho, like Fernandes, like these guys who don't have the right mindset for this colossal club that they're playing for. But I don't think it's because they're necessarily weak-minded or that they're not capable of it. I think it's just because the expectation is beyond anything that anyone can even achieve. If Manchester United aren't first or second and not winning trophies every year, it's considered a complete catastrophe because you've got a fan base that have had this for years. I've been saying to people ever since the end of last season, I don't care anymore, and I honestly, genuinely feel like the least amount of stress I've ever felt watching football in my entire life, because Manchester City have won every single cup, and if they win this World Club competition in December, then they've genuinely won everything. All that's left is the Europa League and the Conference League now, so we can drop down and we can go into those pressure free. But with Manchester United, because they made a habit of excelling like they did for so long, because it's like 20-30 years of being there or thereabouts constantly. I don't even think I honestly believe this wholeheartedly. I don't think Klopp, and I don't think Guardiola, and I don't think the Aussie guy, and but I don't think any of these managers, even with the personnel that they could even bring with them, like, take the team and move it to Manchester United, I don't think they can achieve what's this level that's expected of them, because it's beyond. I think it's beyond what everyone else can achieve, because of, like I said, the vast number of eyes, the vast number of historical achievement, all of that put together, that messes with mindsets. And I think that also when you've got upper management that hasn't really put a stamp on this, hasn't really put a stop on all this over the last 10 years or so since Ferguson left, these players come into a world where it's kind of like, manager says this, someone could just go up to him and go, hey, you don't have to listen to that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, it almost, I'm not saying that's what's happening. What I'm saying is, if that does happen, I wouldn't be shocked. By the way that, again, on paper, this Manchester United is like I was saying about Chelsea. The fat's been trimmed. A lot of the fat has been trimmed from that Manchester United squad. They haven't bought, a superstar player to come in and do, to fill in gaps or anything like that. They haven't done it this year. They seem to be more, a bit more of a focused, a bit more of a sensible approach to who they've bought. Like, it's there to create, to fit into the game plan. But the players are still not doing that as I would expect it. And again, this is what I'm saying. I'm kind of improving my point by going, what I expect from Manchester United.
Yeah.
I don't think Manchester United can achieve it, because you've had the same thing growing up as well. the mindset is Manchester United they should be 11th now. They should be 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, but you have that same expectation and on City, on Liverpool, on Arsenal.
Don't think it's to the level though. I
No,
don't. I think the level is what I'm talking about more than the fact that of course there's expectations on all the other teams, but I think the expectation on them is it's 7 Everests high.
do you think that's bleeding down on the players though, or is that
Yes.
just a fan thing?
No, I
Because
think it's a players thing. I think it's an overall mindset thing.
Mhm.
You think about the people who critiques you on telly.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know, if you name them, it's Phil Neville, it's what's he called? Roy Keane. It's Rio Ferdinand on the other channel with Paul Scholes on the other channel with I know Michael Owen's an ex-Liverpool player, but he's a Man United player as well. You know what I'm saying?
Gary
Like,
Neville, Gary Neville, not Phil Neville.
no, sorry, Gary Neville, but I was thinking of Michael Owen. Sorry.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean? Like, so you've got
yeah.
all these pundits, ex-Man United players, and they're on there telling the story. Like, they're criticizing every little thing that you do, and then they tell the story about when I was there, it was this. And these players are probably looking at it going, "Well, it ain't like that right now." Everything that you saw and you had, we don't have that, and we don't have that kind of. And I honestly think that when people just say it's the Glazers, or people say it's Harry Maguire, or people say it was David De Gea, or it was this problem, or it was Ronaldo, it was that problem, right? It's not. They're all in my opinion, they're all symptoms of a wider disease. They're all part of it.
Yeah.
And you put that together, and it creates the situation at the minute at Manchester United where that Rasmus Højlund kid, is he coming into Manchester United? Same like I was saying with Cole Palmer, is he coming into Manchester United with the opportunities to develop into one of the best players in the world in this club as it stands right now? Probably not, because of all the stuff I've been saying. This kid's gonna turn up at Old Trafford one day, start a game, and the realization of what he's got to do is going to hit him like a ton of bricks. And if he can get past that and become the player that, from all intents and purposes, what I've been told, because I've never seen him play before that 15 minutes against Arsenal the other day. I mean, is he going to get there? Can he get there? I just don't know. And I think it's the same with Cole Palmer at Chelsea. I don't think that's where the right environment to move into, because at the minute it's just a minefield.
That'll be on the coaching staff for me. That can they nurture them? I can see what you're saying about the pressure environment at United, and I can even concede that it might be more at United than other places. I don't think it'll be substantially more.
Sure.
All right, not substantially more. Players at City are coping. We had that discussion about Grealish, and there have been a few players. It's taken a while to bed in, but they do that, and I think that has to be down to the coaching staff, either through coaching them to be able to be strong enough in that moment, or the coaching staff because they've recognized that's the type of player that can do it with that pressure. And so reverse engineering this, that would then by definition mean that United is full of players who either aren't being coached correctly or have been assembled without that being considered. How do they handle pressure?
But I also don't know how you can handle the pressure of being a Manchester United player and then all the toxic crap that comes along with what's happening there at the minute.
Sure.
We could talk about it at Manchester City and Liverpool. Things are fairly harmonious. To
the best of our knowledge. To the best of our knowledge.
To the best of our knowledge, but I would venture to guess, right, that there aren't the problems at Liverpool and Man City, Spurs at the minute, Arsenal in the background, right? Than there is at Manchester United. That there even is at Chelsea.
Sure.
These are all things, that outside of the training ground harmoniousness isn't there. as well.
Mm.
So if we have got a situation where we're bringing in individuals and it's not the correct recipe and all that sort of stuff, that's one thing. But then to compete with that against all that outside as well, and you combine it all, you've got a recipe for 11th and 12th.
Yeah, because that again, like I said, that's on the coaching staff, then on the training pitches to create a situation where the players gain more confidence.
Yeah.
However they do that, they need to create that atmosphere on the training pitch. The players do a lot more than we see on Saturdays at 3 p.m. to Saturday at 3 p.m. and all those other adjustment times. But week on week, we see them on the field. They do a lot more together, a lot more work, or they should be doing a lot more work together. And if that week on week isn't creating a situation that's fixing this, that's on the coaching staff, in addition to it being on the coaching staff for assembling those particular players that can't handle it. And let's not forget, we've got lots of players on here that are Ten Hag players on this field right now. He's brought new players in, and it's still the same kind of issue. So maybe it is because of that. Maybe it isn't due to the players they brought in. Maybe it is due to the coaching.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I like I said, my thing is that I think it's all of it.
It could be. I also think some of it's to do with believing your own hype. There's a lot of players in United. I felt it back a lot of years ago when Wayne Rooney, as a young boy, as a teenager, got a massive contract, and everything he achieved at Everton in that season or so before he went to United, how great he was, the goals he scored, and there was so much hype around him, and I felt worried that he would believe the hype rather than keep him working hard. And I don't know whether he was successful. There seems to be players at United where they believe in their own hype. Sancho, for example. Other players that I'm sure everyone can name. You can all bring out players where you think, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. Pogba, for example.
Pogba. Okay.
But Erling Haaland. Haaland is a player where you cannot levy that towards. You cannot. There's nothing in his life outside of football or on the field where you can say he believes his own hype. I saw a story the other day where he tapes his mouth shut when he sleeps. Have you heard that one?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, and that's so he breathes through his nose because that helps oxygen. He's trying to. He's not being, well, I should be picked all the time. He's, how can I improve this inhumane body even further?
Yeah.
And that's an application difference, and it almost, in my opinion, almost comes down to money. You're given all that money, the riches, as a young kid. It's very easy to believe your hype, believe your own hype that you've made it. Which I mean, I want to have a quick word about the Saudi League again, because certain things have been said, and it kind of along the same lines. Two things that involve Liverpool players, one current, one old player. And it's about money. It's about money. We'll go with Salah first. There's rumors that they're going to put in a bigger bid, keep going, and they're going to get their man. And what I heard from the press was that he was going to be offered £1.5 million a week, which is astonishing money. And the label they put on it was life-changing. And I've got to stop him on that. This isn't life-changing. Mohamed Salah is currently getting 400,000 or whatever it is a week, playing for one of the best teams in one of the best leagues in the world with a global spotlight. I can't see how his life is going to change. Maybe a little bit more comfortable. But oh my God, the ends are meeting for that guy already. He's not going to go to that league and win titles and go, finally, I won that one. I've got that. I've broken that one. I've finally managed to smash through the glass ceiling of that league. That's not why you're going. If you were to go,
put that with the rest.
Exactly, precisely. So I can't. If he gets the bid for him accepted and he wants to go for extra money, like I've said in earlier podcasts, own it. Say I want more money. I've got loads of money. I want more. Go. That's fine.
Go.
I don't want you to stay if you feel that way. Yeah. You deserve that. If you can get offered that and you can accept that, but don't mask it as something else. I don't think Salah himself has said it would be life-changing. That's just something that certain pundits have said, which I think is nonsense. To me, to you, even to them, 1.5 million a week would be life-changing. But when you've already got the mansion, you've got the car, you've got the khakis, you've got everything, there's no more to buy. 1.5
Oh, we
million
were
a week.
racing to that. We were racing to that end. Right.
1.5 million a week isn't going to buy you. You're just going to get more houses, more cars.
More khakis.
You can already afford the bills. You can already afford the mortgage. You can already afford to pay food for healthcare. You're supporting yourself and your family already.
We don't pay for that here.
Well, they have private healthcare, which they pay for.
You've been Americanized. You've been Americanized, son.
Point being, there are bills that we're all struggling to pay.
Oh, yeah.
Paycheck to paycheck. And these players who are getting all they're getting, and they're talking about on their behalf, life-changing. And it's nonsense. Real quick about another old player of ours, Jordan Henderson. It's come out that he's made a statement that he's still considering publicly supporting gay rights over there. I'm sorry. I seem to remember you saying that this wasn't going to change a thing. Now you're considering it. Are we meant to be grateful that you're considering this? That's a poor move from my old captain there. I think that's bad that he said that. He either supports or he doesn't. And if you go in there and you can't support it, you made that choice to go there. You can't go there and then go, oh, I didn't realize I couldn't support it now. You knew that walking into it. You decided to do that. You're supporting that, which if you want to do that. Don't pretend it's anything else, though.
Own it.
And
that's the podcast catchphrase.
That's what it should be. And then him coming out and saying that money wasn't the only factor for going out there. All right, what was the factor then? What was the factor? You were playing the food, yeah. Because you were getting the money. You were getting the game time. You were getting playing in that league with those players, against those players.
He's sorting the next 4 generation of Hendersons out by doing this.
That's money, though.
Which is but that's what they should be saying.
Exactly.
Saying, it's the money. I want to sort my family now, and the next 4 generations of my family so they never have to want. So you know what? I'm betraying my values or whatever it is that whatever their thought process is on that, and I'm going to play there for 2 years, and I'm going to make so much money that the next 4 generations of Hendersons are fine. And you know what, right? All that sort of stuff, the LGBTQ stuff that the people like him are trying to push over there is unfortunately going to fall very, very hardly on deaf ears over there because they just don't have the interest to change and to alter that mindset. And who am I? I'm not someone who's going to say they should or they shouldn't. I mean, I think morally they should, but religiously, culturally, it's all way too difficult to start putting down into the mind of a 30-year-old Geordie who's been kicking a leather Sevilla around for the past
precisely
5-10 years. What is he? What would it achieve to just say, look, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing, and then I honestly think that if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you heard him say, "This is why I'm doing it. My beliefs are still this, but this is the reason why I'm going," there'd be far more respect than tippy-toeing around and going, "Oh, I might consider thinking about maybe doing it if they let me." Just when you're not there, carry on the crusade, carry on the fight, and that's a good thing to do. But when you're there and you're in that, I don't know how long their league is, 4 months, considering how many teams are on it. But when you're over there, you're gonna have to do what you do over there.
Yeah.
So don't stop making it like it's something else. Speaking of which,
Carlos, I was just going to quickly say, Carlos Tevez said the same thing. He went to China and where he could have done other things, and he has come out and said, no. The reason I did it was for all the other Tevezes, all the family members,
all the Tevai.
The Tevai.
I think the plural of the Tevez is a Tevai.
It was for all of those, and he owned that it was just for the money to be able to provide, which is commendable. Go do that. Don't pretend it's something it's not. Own it.
Speaking of owning it, We're going to finish up quickly. I just
Mhm.
realized that Manchester City's FIFA World Club Cup tournament is in Saudi Arabia this year.
Yep.
Awkward. So we've got Club Leon from
Yep.
not from France,
No.
from Mexico.
Yep.
Because they're the reigning CONCACAF champions.
CONCACAF.
CONCACAF, yep. Sorry, there is an extra K in there. Sorry. And Urawa Reds of Japan, who won the AFC Champions League. Like you said last time as well.
I did say this. I said this.
But yeah, the looks like it's coming in. 7 teams between 12th and the 22nd of December. They still got some more a couple more teams that need to be qualified and stuff. But the potential opponents to meet in the final are the Copa Libertadores champions, whoever they will be, because they're the ones that we're still waiting for. Al Ali from Egypt, Al Ittihad, I think. Al Ittihad from, I'm guessing, from the Middle East.
That's Saudi, isn't it? Al Ittihad is.
Are they a Saudi? Are they the Saudi teams?
Al Ittihad. If that's the one I'm thinking of, Al Ittihad are the ones that are looking at buying Salah.
Ah, right. They've got something. And Auckland City from New
Australasia.
Zealand. So it should be fun, I think, to see that. But yeah, I think they're
actually expanding it next year to 30 odd teams as well.
Oh God.
More games.
Don't win the Champions League this year, lads. Everyone just avoid. Wait, cool. That's as good a place as any to wrap this up. Thank you very much for listening again. At Do You Know the Score on all the social media apps that isn't X. And you can follow us on Spotify and on SoundCloud. Email us if you want to. Do you know the score at gmail.com with all your questions, comments. If people actually start doing that, which they haven't. And
there's been a few comments. There's been a few comments.
There've been comments, but there haven't been any emails, and we can read the emails and then talk about the emails.
Let's do it.
So get involved. Tell us that we're nonsense. Tell us that we're talking nonsense.
Please
Explain it to us, and we will have a listen. But yeah, thank you very much. Catch you next week. I think next week, since we're international break and we didn't really bring it up, let's talk Champions League and let's talk Europa League.
Yeah, let's do it.
To make up for the fact that we took a week off 2 weeks before we said we were going to take a week off. Thank you for listening. Catch you next time.
Bye.